As you all know, I'm an avid gardener. I love gardening, but there's been a few projects that I've been putting off for the last 5 months. Big projects. Well, I finally got them done this week, starting on Tuesday, which was an absolutely gorgeous day. Nice, warm, and sunny. Probably our last day of the year that we're going to have nice weather like that. I went ahead and took down the umbrella and took in the cushions off the chairs for the winter. And then, this was on Tuesday. Whoops, this scared the birds. This is where the bird feeder is. And there is slate under this bird feeder. A couple of years ago, I added wire under there, which really helped things from coming up in between the slate. So I thought I would do it again this year. So I moved all these slates out of the way and put down this wire here underneath of all this slate and put the slate back. And then I went to get bark dust and laid all new bark dust on this whole side of the yard. Just this side, because the other side has deciduous trees and I need to wait until they're all down and raked up before I have a chance to get the bark dust down on those sides. So that was day one on Tuesday. The next day, which was Wednesday, I went and bought these two new containers. They're big containers. They might not look that big in this video, but they're really big. And I replaced this Heavenly Bamboo which was over here to the right side of the sliding glass door on the patio, and I put in this Unimus, which my good friend next door Sherry gave me several years ago, and it's been sitting in a little container, and I finally planted that there. Be much easier to control. And this container here is going to be replacing this container, which has a little maple tree in it that has been in there for 30 years. At least I don't have to dig a hole like I did for the other container, other plant when I planted it. I just need to break up that container and get that out of there and get it put into the new one. So that was day two. So day three, I cut back all the fronts of all these arborvitaes. They were sticking out really, really far and almost over the patio. So I cut the fronts of all those back. By the way, they're close to 8 feet tall. And I cut back all the ones along the back side of the yard as well, except for these three little ones, which I had to replace a couple years ago from 3 that died. But I cut back all the fronts on all these along this whole back side. You can see it very well. And then I also cut back the fronts of the arborvitaes on this side of the backyard as well. And I also cut back these little boxwoods. They're little now, but they were also really, really, really big. So that was a lot of work. I had to do a lot of that by hand because for some reason the clippers didn't want to cut those. Don't know why, but. And then also on that same day, all this slate pathway that runs along the whole back side of the yard between the boxwoods and the arborvitaes, I moved it to the left about a foot away from the arborvitaes. That was a lot of work. Those slates are super heavy. That took me some time. So that is what I've been doing this last week. in the yard. I still have little things to do left, which will probably happen in the next month, which is cutting back all the heather, or not the heather, but the lavender. I have a dozen lavender plants in here. And this big tree here in the corner, which is actually a dwarf. You would never know it by the height. It's taller than the blue spruce next door, which has been there for 23 years. And so is that tree. So I'm going to have an arborist come out and cut about 10 or 15 feet off of that before the leaves turn, so I have less to rake up this fall. And I've been cutting the roses down as they die back. And they're really tall too. They're got to be 7 feet as well. But those are all pretty easy projects for me. Normal, everyday maintenance. But I got those 3 major projects done and ready for the fall. This is a beautiful tree here in the fall. It's a witch hazel tree. It gets absolutely gorgeous. And then in February, it blooms. Really pretty tree. Anyways, that's what I've been doing for the last week. And it's all done now, and I'm so glad.